games of the series. So that makes it more important for these teams who have such aggressive reputations to be aggressive early in the game, because these have become 7-inning games. Get a lead so that when you have to face the other team's bullpen, you already have the lead and don't have to worry about it.
Well, this series has moved from the Metrodome indoors to Edison International Field outdoors. The Twins and the Angels flying into Game 3 of this American League Championship Series. You're watching baseball on Fox. The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade. By Sprint, introducing PCS Vision. Clearly a whole new way to look at wireless. And by WebMD, the place America comes for healthcare answers. They bang the Thundersticks here at International Field in Anaheim, California. Minnesota Twins won the opening game of this series before falling in Game 2. Let's take a look at their starting lineup under manager Ron Gardenhire. Jock Jones without a hit in the series in left. Christian Guzman at short. Corey Koski at third. Matt LaCroix is a designated hitter. Torrey Hunter in center. Doug Mankiewicz is at first. Dustin Moore the start in right field. A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate. Luis Rivas, the second baseman. And on the mound for Anaheim, 28-year-old native of La Crosse, Wisconsin, Jarrod Washburn.
What a breakout season for this kid, Jarrod Washburn. 18-6 during the year. Tremendous pitcher. This guy pitches with a lot of guts, likes to live up in the strike zone. He has various speeds on his fastball, if you can believe that. Sometimes he'll throw 185, the other times he'll jump on up there at 93. Will pitch up in the strike zone and inside. He likes to go hard into the lefties and then use that slider that he's got away from the left-handers, try to get them to hit weak ground balls to the second baseman.
Let's take a look at the defense behind Washburn. Garrett Anderson in left field, Darren Erstad in center. Tim Salmon will start with the injured hamstring in right. Glaus, Eckstein, Benji Gill to start at second base in this one, rather than Adam Kennedy with a left-hander on the mound. Scott Spezio at first. Washburn on the mound and Benji Molina tough to run against. In fact, the best at throwing out would-be base stealers in the major leagues this year. Like to remind you, as always, our broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Set to go. Jock Jones digging in. First pitch swinging. 0-1, and we are underway in Anaheim. We mentioned Jones 0 for 9 thus far in this league championship series. Only 5 of 29 in the postseason. Lined into right field. A good sign, though, for Minnesota. Jones hit the ball hard.
It is a good sign because he had not been swinging the bat all that well, but I talked to him before the game and he says, you know what, I'm not changing because I was a 300 hitter during the course of the season. That means I'm a pretty decent hitter. You go through spells like this, and if you worry about it, you're just going to put yourself further into a slump.
Now Christian Guzman, 3 of 7 in the series with a double. Guzman, a 24-year-old native of the Dominican Republic. A big factor in this one, along with Eric Milton. They came over together from the Yankees in the Chuck Knobloch deal back in 1998. Strike one from Washburn. Guzman committed the error at shortstop in Game 1. The only run scored by Anaheim. Pretty generous strike zone early on by home plate umpire Brian Gorman. 0-2 to Christian Guzman.
Brian Gorman does have a reputation for having a fairly liberal strike zone. He's one of those umpires that likes guys that go up there swinging the bat, and I like that kind of game too.
Take a look at the rest of the judiciary tonight. The crew chief working down the left field line, Eddie Montague. 1-2 to Guzman. Sharply hit, backhanded by Eckstein. Throw. Gets away from Spezio. Spezio made all those plays in Game 2, picking throws out of the dirt, but not this time. That'll be an error undoubtedly on Eckstein.
Not as true a hop off the dirt and grass that you'll get off of a turf like we saw in Minnesota. We talked about David Eckstein at short. Gets the job done generally. This one a little short, and you see the way the ball just kind of checked up on Spezio when it hit the grass. and he was unable to make the play. Eckstein doesn't do anything pretty. Generally gets it done, but on this one here, just couldn't get it over to Spezia.
It will be an error on Eckstein. So Guzman, a one-out base runner, stole 12 bases during the regular season, but was thrown out 13 times. And now Corey Koski digs in. 0-1.
Guzman, a very exciting guy to watch on the bases. The reason he got thrown out so much this year is he was going through a transition period. They didn't like him sliding head first. He had some shoulder problems, and they said, you are too valuable to us in the lineup every day to get yourself hurt sliding head first. They made him slide feet first, and they said the first 7 or 8 times he tried it, he never made it to second base. It was like the old Major League movie where the guy's waiting for you. Come on, I got to tag you now. You're going to be out.
Fastball into Koski. 3 of 7 in the series with a couple of runs batted in. He also has a double. Corey having a good solid postseason. Only 6 hits and 28 at bats, but he does have 7 batted in. Foul out of play. Washburn making his 3rd postseason start. 1-0, a 3.75 ERA thus far. His last outing, he beat David Wells and the Yankees here on Saturday 9-5. That was a clinching game in the 4-game series victory over the New York Yankees. He started game 1 of that series as well. Went 7 innings, allowed 4 runs and a no decision. Check swing, he went around, and Koski ball.
Well, here's the pattern for Washburn against the lefties. Hard in, soft away. First pitch, fastball in. Second pitch, in again. Koski fouls it off inside, and then the slider away. Have a seat.
Now the batter, Matt LaCroix. LaCroix getting his first at bat of the series. And it's lined softly into left center field. It'll fall a base hit. Guzman making the turn. He'll go to 3rd. So the first base hit of the game off the bat of Matt LaCroix. In there for David Ortiz as a DH for the first time in a series.
Washburn likes to throw the ball up in the zone and in on the hands. This is not too bad a pitch. He jams LaCroix with it, but LaCroix, good strong hitter, just fights it off for a base hit. Good hitters will get jammed. They don't like to. I'll tell you what, if you're a good hitter and you stick with your swing, you will get jammed at times, but you can fight balls off for base hits just like LaCroix did right there.
Minnesota threatening here in the opening inning. Torrey Hunter the batter, 2 of 6 in the postseason, both hits double. In the air, left field, should end the inning. Jarrod Anderson there. It does. Welcome back to Anaheim. Bottom of the first inning we go after Minnesota left 2 in the top of the first inning on base. Mike Scioscia's lineup has David Eckstein, the shortstop. Darren Erstad started the scoring in game 2 with a home run. 1 of 5 extra base hits for Anaheim. Tim Salmon in right field. Garrett Anderson, a left fielder. Troy Glaus at 3rd. Scott Spezia at 1st. Sean Wooten gets a nod as a DH. Benji Molina catching, and Benji Gill is at 2nd. Against 27-year-old left-hander Eric Milton.
13-9 on the regular season with the knee problem. That has pretty much gone away. Every once in a while it'll grab on him. Great late life on his fastball. He will use the curve every once in a while, kind of a get me over curveball to get ahead in the strike zone. And this is a guy that will attack the strike zone. Throws a lot of strikes.
Strike 1 to David Eckstein. 3 of 9 in the series with a run batted in. Milton making his 2nd postseason start this year after making 29 starts during the regular season. Eckstein, a fly ball into left field. And Jock Jones there, quickly 1 away. Milton missed nearly a month during the season with surgery to his left knee. really never got into the kind of pattern which made him an all-star in 2001.
Struggled through the knee problem. It hurt a long time before he actually had the surgery, and then he has to come back from it. And a lot of times, for any athlete, it's getting over the mental hurdle. It doesn't hurt anymore, but you keep thinking that you're going to blow it out again, and it's tough to really get back to that 100% level, 100% effort, and get over that hump and go out and play baseball again.
Darren Erstad. First pitch swinging, fouls it back out of play.
Game 2, Darren Erstad put the Angels on the scoreboard right off the get-go. Second hitter of the game, and he jumped the yard in the Homer Dome. Turned things around for this Anaheim offense.
Erstad having an outstanding postseason. Anaheim knocking around Rick Reed for 6 runs in game 2. 0-2 on Darren Erstad.
Look at the Angels lineup today with the right-handers in there, Wooten and Benji Gill. 2 lefties in the lineup. Spezio is the switch hitter, but Erstad and Garrett Anderson, you might want to look for them. Milton has a tough time with left-handers.
Does he ever? That one down the left field line towards the corner and just fouled. During the year, Milton had the highest batting average against left-handed batters by left-handed pitchers in the entire American League. Left-handers hit .306 against him, including 9 home runs.
That's a pretty good number there, that .306 you see. And 9 home runs comes in 111 at-bats. That's a pretty darn good average.
And yet only 2 left-handers in Mike Scioscia's lineup. No Adam Kennedy. Benji Gill getting a start at second base in place of Kennedy. And no Brad Fulmer, the DH. Breaking ball away, 1-2 on Darren Erstad.
Scioscia is one of those guys that looks at those numbers. We'll go with the numbers every once in a while, but generally we'll go with what he's done all season long. And very often it's this offense against a left-handed hitter. There was a period of time when Adam Kennedy was so hot he had to play against everybody. But for the most part, Benji Gill starts at second base with a lefty. There is Adam Kennedy taking the night off. And Wooten was the guy who was supposed to be the DH all season long against left-handed pitching, with Spezio being the DH or first baseman against the right-handers. Wooten got hurt in spring training, and Spezio went crazy hitting right-handed.
1-2 on Darren Erstad. Struck him out. Good breaking ball down and away. 2 up, 2 down in the Anaheim opening inning.
Such a deceptive pitch right there. The slider down and away from Erstad. That's one of those swings where you say, well, your heart's in it, but your rear end isn't. You see that way out over there. Watch him get out in front of himself. We talk about Erstad's balance. There's where his balance should be, and he's way out in front of that one. That pitch just fooled him.
Now Tim Salmon, 2 down, nobody on. We'll keep an eye on Salmon, who had to leave game 2 with that injured hamstring. Worked out here yesterday, felt pretty good. Showed up today, felt a lot better. Ball 1. He did have a cortisone injection into the hamstring area. And he says he's ready to go. Salmon in search of his first hit in the series, as is the 2 guys behind him in the lineup. Salmon, Anderson, and Glaus all, or pardon me, just Salmon and Anderson hitless in the series. Glaus with just 2 hits, and they came in game 2.
Well, the cortisone shot was an excellent idea by the medical staff here. Doesn't hurt you to do it. Takes out the swelling and the inflammation in the muscle. A lot of times when you take a shot like that, you need at least 2 days before you can play after that. The day off came at an excellent spot. They got that medicine to him as soon as they could in Minnesota.
Milton looking in, getting a sign from Pierzynski. And a breaking ball in the dirt.
And we've talked often this year about St. Louis and the support and the crowds that they've got in St. Louis for the longest time. But boy, if you close your eyes and then open them up again here in Anaheim, you might think you were in St. Louis with the sea of red here in Anaheim.
That ball smoked into right center field. Torrey Hunter back to the warning track, and he got it. Torrey Hunter leaping against the wall in right center field to take away at least a double for Salmon. He's been doing it all year long. Minnesota fans say ho hum.
A mixture of talent and skill right there.
Tim Salmon hit the ball hard into right center field, but Torrey Hunter went and got it.
Torrey Hunter with excellent concentration. Right before we picked that up, you saw where he would look at the fence to determine how many more steps he had to go and then made the play.
No score as we open the second inning. Doug Mientkiewicz looks at a strike on the outside corner from Jarrod Washburn. Good start to this league championship series by Mientkiewicz. 2 runs batted in already. 0-2. Minnesota left 2 on in the top of the first against Washburn, and error by Eckstein allowed Guzman to reach. Matt LaCroix a 2-out single, but Hunter flied out to left, ending the threat. Fastball just off the corner.
Washburn wanted that one. That's a pitch that if you miss off the plate. Benji framing it for him.
Struck him out on the next pitch. Second strikeout for Washburn.
Let's go back and look at this catch by Hunter. That's right where he peeked at the wall. Now he gathers himself. He knows how many more steps he can take before he hits the wall. I tell you, it's the combination of talent and skill. Talent he was born with. This guy lives for doing this. In Chicago, the skill is something that he learned. In the dome, he made the catch and he was safe. And then in Kansas City, where it's a huge outfield to cover.
And of course, we've all seen that catch taking away a home run from Barry Bonds in this year's All-Star game. Dustin Moore getting the start in right field. Ron Gardenhire telling us before the game he feels like defense is so critically important over these final 5 games of this series, should it go 5 more games.
And that conversation really surprised me, only because it is the best defensive team maybe in baseball right now, and you would think that was something that you just didn't worry about, that it would show up every day. But Gardenhire very concerned. You saw Guzman miss a ball, ground ball right through his legs earlier in this series. They had a tough time with Oakland early in the series. They had some miscues playing in their own home ballpark.
1-2 to Moore. And then he felt Michael Kadire, while he wasn't getting on him, he just felt he may have been a little bit tentative in right field on a couple of balls in game 2 that dropped for base hits.
Remember, Kadire spent most of the season in AAA, got a chance to play in right field second half. We talked a lot about the Metrodome will make you a tentative outfielder.
Swung on and fouled out of play. He said something very interesting. He said, you know, when you're playing playoff games here, everybody talks about the roof and losing balls in the roof. He said, for outfielders, you can also lose balls with all the white homer hankies the fans are waving.
Exactly right. Very tough to see. It's almost like looking into a white t-shirt all the time.
1-2 to Dustin Moore. Broke his bat, sounded like.
It's interesting here because of the earlier start times. A lot of people might have thought that the bright sunlight here in Southern California might make it difficult to see, but the people that live here in Southern California know about what is called the marine layer. That's kind of a light haze fog that comes in off the ocean. And during batting practice, and although it's a little bit darker right now, the sky looked very similar to inside the Metrodome.
One and 2 to Dustin Moore. Swung on and fouled back out of play. We'll do it again. On Minnesota, we had those homer hankies. Here in Anaheim, we have the Thunder Sticks. And should the home team be trailing late in the game, the rally monkey.
Oh, yeah, baby, the rally monkey.
Vote now using BCS Vision from Sprint or log on to foxsports.com. Which do you prefer? The homer hanky or the rally monkey?
That kid's got a little bit of everything going. Thunder sticks, rally monkey draped around his neck. Hello.
That's big league hat right there. Ninth pitch of the at bat is the final pitch of the at bat.
Boy, he battled him right there, but Washburn in the early going is filthy right now. Look at the location of that pitch, counting away, can't reach it. This one, boy, we've had a lot of fun with this angle so far in the series. This is like you were hitting yourself, and you wouldn't have been able to hit that pitch either. That's some great late movement. He's having a good time.
Good for him. A.J. Pierzynski, 1 of 6 in the series. And the latter third of the Minnesota batting order has struggled during this entire postseason. Ron Gardenhire's 7, 8, and 9 hitters collectively at 167, although Pierzynski has come up with some big hits, including the big home run in Game 5 in Oakland. He's knocked in 5 runs. In the air, left center field. Erstad calling off Anderson, and a perfect second inning for Jarrod Washburn. After an inning and a half, Game 3 of the league championship series, no score. The league championship series on Fox is brought to you by Kia and the all-new Sorrento SUV. Kia, make every mile count. By MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And by Viagra. Step up to the plate and ask your doctor if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
Jarrod Anderson going to step up to the plate.
Jarrod in search of his first hit of the series. In fact, the number 3 and 4 hitters we brought up in the opening inning hitless so far for Anaheim through the first 2 games and 1 at bat of this series. 0 for 17. Anderson lights out in the division series against the Yankees, knocking in 4, scoring 5, and very good career numbers you see at the bottom against Eric Milton. And this ball hammered right center field, and Anaheim leads 1-0.
Told you, watch out for the lefties in the lineup. Jarrod Anderson gets off the schneid there with that bomb. Up and in, doesn't get it up high enough. Anderson all over it. Not necessarily a classic low ball hitter is Anderson. He can get on top of a high fastball.
1-0 Anaheim. Anderson hit 29 home runs during the regular year.
Worth another look right there. Straight fastball up in the strike zone. Both of these guys like to live up there, but Jarrod Anderson likes to live up there every once in a while too.
Well, Garrett hitting the lottery with his first base hit of the series. And 1-0 Anaheim here in Game 3. His series even at 1 game apiece. Troy Glaus with a count of 1-1.
Oh, what a delightful conversation I had with Jarrod Anderson before Game 1 of this series. Very glib, very happy, smiling all the time. You rarely see it on the field. He says when the game starts, there is no smiling. You don't even see it now, and he just went deep.
12 home runs already in the postseason for Anaheim. You're talking about a team that ranked 10th in the American League during the regular season in home runs. That's not the way this team is built outside of Anderson and Glaus and Salmon. They don't get a lot of thunder in the upper part and the lower part of that batting order. 2-2 to Glaus.
Well, with all the red shirts in this ballpark here, we talked about the St. Louis crowd. We're doing the American League Championship Series, but if you close your eyes and open them up again with these two teams, you could swear you were doing National League Baseball. Little ball, small ball, get guys over, get them in.
Big swing and a miss by Glaus. Second strikeout of the game by Eric Milton. One away in the Anaheim second inning.
Mike Scioscia says Eric Milton has great late movement on his fastball. Ask Troy Glaus. Those pitchers, both of these guys are, when you come back to the bench and you've already gone 0 for 4, you keep saying, I was right on him. I knew I was going to hit him. And then you don't.
Scott Spiezio looks at a breaking ball high. Spiezio 8 of 22 in the postseason with a home run and 7 runs batted in. Steve brought up earlier the way he has hit left-handed pitching this year. Hit .368 against the left-hander, second best in the American League. Popped up, and that one will reach the seats out of play. Milton pitched a no-hitter for Minnesota against Anaheim September 11, 1999. Struck out a career-high 13, walked 2. The Angel lineup that day was missing most of its stars. Bo Vaughn, Tim Salmon, Darren Erstad, Jim Edmonds, and Garrett Anderson didn't play. Here's the final out. Interesting to note in that game, a lot of September call-ups were in the Anaheim lineup. It was a game that started at 11:06 in the morning, so that Metrodome workers could get the stadium ready for a night college football game between Minnesota and Louisiana Monroe.
No, that was during a time when a football game like that was more important than any Twins game. Not so anymore. And I'll tell you what, take nothing away from Eric Milton, because they didn't have their big guns in the Anaheim lineup. I'll tell you what, if you send a 3-year-old up there with a bat, he can be dangerous.
3-2. And ball 4 to Spiezio. First walk issued by Milton. Milton has always pitched very well against the Angels. Get a look at his career. 5-2 in 9 starts, a very solid ERA.
Once again, the no-hitter down there on September 11th. That's an accomplishment.
Now Sean Wooten. Only 1 at bat during this league championship series after going 6 for 9 against the Yankees in the division series. Down and in, ball 1. Spiezio will run a little more frequently than you might think. He attempted 13 stolen bases. Successful just 6 of the 13.
Yes, he's running a little more frequently than he should be then.
Exactly right. Big swing and a miss, 1-1 to Wooten.
You look at some of the stolen base numbers for both these clubs. Anaheim a little bit more aggressive in that department. The Twins have a terrible percentage stealing bases, just 56%. But like both of these teams, they both put on a lot of hit and runs. They're both back end of double steals sometimes. Sometimes those percentages can be misleading.
1-1 to Wooten. Big cut, fouled it straight back, a ball and 2 strikes.
I mean, Sean Wooten's a guy who's hit 300 almost everywhere he's gone. He had a spring training pop fly that he caught, lost his balance, fell down, and nobody thought it was that big a deal. Ended up having to have a pin stuck in his thumb. Missed most of the first half, and then when he was getting better, he tore a rib cage muscle. Couldn't get back in the lineup.
Fouled away again. Still 1-2. Yeah, he only played in 49 games. Had 3 home runs, 19 batted in. Well, you talk about being right in the thick of things. That 5th inning of Game 4 here last Saturday, when the Angels set a postseason record with 8 runs and 10 hits against the Yankees. Milton led off the inning with a home run, batted later in the inning and knocked in a 2nd run. Still 1-2. Milton grew up just outside of State College, Pennsylvania, the home, of course, of the Penn State Nittany Lions, where his father worked as a lab technician. Was a great student, of course, having been exposed to the academic environment. And is still working on picking up his degree in kinesiology. Breaking ball fouled away. Good solid at bat here by Wooten. Milton keeps pumping in the strikes, and Wooten keeps fouling them all.
Wooten's father's sitting around right now saying, mix me up a base hit in his lab coat. Yeah, make no mistake. This is not a guy that you just fire in the lineup because there's a lefty out there. Wooten can swing the bat.
Talked about each of these managers being aggressive. What with both bullpens having been so outstanding through the first 2 games. 1-2 pitch here. Number of foul balls. Maybe something on for Mike Scioscia.
It's all about whether or not Scott Spiezio can pick up anything from Milton's delivery. If it is a hit and run type of a situation with 2 strikes probably shouldn't be, then you just have to make sure you don't get picked off.
Another foul ball out of play. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat.
It's amazing here too, because a lot of times with a 1-2 count, you try to get your pitcher to maybe go out of the strike zone a little bit more often, bounce a curveball, throw a high fastball so you can get someone to chase. Milton trying to get you to swing at things with strikes pretty much. Still goes right at you.
Another foul ball. 8 pitches in this at bat, and only 1 has been thrown out of the strike zone by Eric Milton. Ron Gardenhire told us before the game, he said, without a doubt, Milton is my most aggressive pitcher. He will just continue to come at you and come at you. Two and two. Milton outstanding against Oakland in Game 4 during the division series when he went 7 innings, allowed 6 hits, only 2 runs, and sent it back to Oakland for that 5th game. Tenth pitch of the at bat upcoming. Spiezio over at first. 1-0 Anaheim with 1 out. Fouled out of play. Pitch number 11 coming up.
I find it a little bit interesting, Tom, when you look at the defensive alignment with Milton, who loves to throw inside, and Torrey Hunter playing off of center to the right field side of things with the right-handed hitters up. He did the same thing with Salmon. Salmon banged one into that right center field gap. Probably should have been a hit, but Torrey Hunter all over it because of his positioning.
3-2. Now you got to believe the runner will get started.
Just don't get picked off. Eric Milton has a very deceptive move, not only to the plate, but also to first base.
Turn and going to third is Spiezio. What an at bat by Wooten. pitches. Doesn't get any better now.
And he didn't get too big. He knew he was going to see a pitch to hit with the 3-2 count. Stayed back, let the ball get in on him, and banged it into right field. Scott Spezio does a great job of making his own decision. Watch the ball go past him. He's going to take a peek at the outfielder, and now as long as the play is in front of you, you don't need a third base coach to tell you where to go. Sees where the ball is, makes his own turn, never looks at a third base coach, and heads on into third base.
What a phenomenal at bat right there by Wu. Got behind in the count, 1-2, worked into a 12th pitch. And now they're on the corners with only one out, and Benji Molina the batter. Molina hitless in 6 at bats in the series. Down a strike.
Molina struggles a little bit so far in this series. We're only talking about a couple ball games, but boy, does he love to hit against the Twins, and loves to hit in the dome. .412 he hits versus the Twins this season.
You're talking about a guy only at .245 overall during the regular year. Popped up and playable. Along the infield, Minkiewicz has got it, and that's out number 2, and a big out for Eric Milton.
Both these pitchers mirror each other very much in the way that they attack the strike zone up in the strike zone. You hear so many people talking about the way to pitch is to pitch down, down, down. But if you've got the late type of cutting movement or tailing movement that these guys have, and then occasionally throw a four-seamer that just rides up in the strike zone to go along with the good breaking ball, you can run it up there and get guys out.
Benji Gill getting his first start of the series. He got a pair of starts at second base against the Yankees in the division series. In game 4 went 3 for 3, scored a run. And overall during that series, 4 hits and 5 at bats. Runners on the corners, 2 away. Good fastball in on his hands, fouled out of play for strike 1. Gill this season with runners in scoring position and 2 men out hit .429.
This is a different Benji Gill than I played against a number of years ago when he was in the Texas organization. He was the #1 pick out of high school out of Tijuana, Mexico. 6'2", weighed about 180 pounds. Came out of high school hitting a lot of home runs. Tried to do the same thing when they rushed him to the big leagues and he got the bat knocked out of his hands.
Shows bunt. Bluff throw down to third, and getting back there just in case Spezio. Benji Gill was brought from single-A ball to the major leagues. You talked about him being born in Tijuana, Mexico, but his family would move into Southern California as a youngster. He would go back and play semi-pro ball in Mexico each and every summer. That's why he progressed so quickly at such a young age.
Finally grew into that frame. He was a stud down there too.
1-1. Ball and 2 strikes on Benji Gill. A 30-pitch inning for Eric Milton, and only 1 run is scored.
Most teams would worry about that. Certainly not the situation that Ron Gardenhire wants. But with the 2 bullpens on both of these ball clubs, you can live with it.
Swing and a miss. The Angels lead 2, but Anderson leads off the second with a home run to right. His first hit of the series. 1-0 Anaheim.
October's magic is alive. The Giants look to continue their spell against the fading Cards. Then the Cinderella series rolls on as the Angels are out to bury the Twins. October's magical matchups continue tomorrow on Fox.
What did you decide? What is the most memorable moment in Major League Baseball history? Watch Game 4 of the World Series right here on Fox to find out. The most memorable moments are presented by MasterCard. Don't miss it. Top of the third inning. Anaheim leading Minnesota. Game 3 of this American League Championship Series. 1-0 on a Jarrod Anderson home run. Luis Rivas leading things off in the Minnesota third, down a strike. Rivas 1 of 5 so far in the series. Jarrod Anderson getting his first hit for the first 2 games and an at bat, and he touched them all. In the hole, Eckstein able to knock it down, and the throw is not in time. Picked cleanly out of there by Spezio, but Rivas runs exceptionally well.
Eckstein just gets a little bit tangled up. Watch his glove get caught underneath him. Ideally, you'd like to get on your hands right there. Gets up, tries to make the strong throw. And once again, Spezio. That's a tough play to make. And he makes it look easy over there. Great hustle by Eckstein trying to make this play. That's a hit all the way.
Now Jock Jones. He lined out hard to Tim Salmon in right field his first time up. Strike called on the outside corner. Jones, like Jarrod Anderson, looking for his first hit in this league championship series. You see he's gone 16 straight bats during the postseason without a hit. One to the San Diego native, who had an outstanding regular season. 27 home runs, 15 of those leading off games. 85 runs batted in, but no homers, 1 batted in during the playoffs. Told you Jock Jones grew up in San Diego. His mother, Linda Falk, raised him. And while working at a Kentucky Fried Chicken, Tony Gwynn lived nearby, and he'd stop in every now and again. Would ask how Jock was doing once he found out that his mother worked there as it goes to 1 and 2. Tony used to follow Jock's progress in Baseball America. And then during the offseason last year, Jock worked out with Tony Gwynn. They stayed in touch during the season, and Tony Gwynn used to tell him, have a plan every time you go to the plate and start working deeper in the count. Not a bad guy to learn from. 1-2. On the ground is short. They'll have to hurry. Eckstein, Gill. Not going to be in time. Jones runs well.
Nothing wrong with the execution here. Eckstein beautifully follows the ball right into Gill's glove. Gill comes across the bag to make the throw. Good strong throw. Jock Jones showing off his legs a little bit right there. You got that kind of speed with Rivas coming in to try to take you out, and Jones going down the line. You have to hit the ball a lot harder than that in order to turn the double play.
Jock Jones, only 6 stolen bases in 13 attempts during the regular season. And now the batter, Christian Guzman. He reached on the David Eckstein error and was stranded at third in the opening inning.
Once again, Jones with good speed, but not great stolen base numbers. That's why Spezio plays off the bag. They can still throw over like they did right there, but Spezio doesn't have to hold the guys on. This is where he's going to end up after the pitch would be thrown anyway. They have good communication between Washburn and Spezio as far as when he's going to throw over to first base.
On the ground, down to third. They'll get the out. No, they will not get the out at second. Glaus going there. It looked like a decent throw, not right at the bag. But Gill couldn't handle it, and Minnesota gets a break. Second error of the game by Anaheim.
I think Glaus fakes out Gill right here. It looks like Glaus is going to go ahead and go to first, and he says, wait a minute, I'll get the out at second. Gill is a little bit ill-prepared, but that's a perfect throw, and he should have handled that. This just goes off the end of his glove. Maybe it tails on him a little bit, but I think Benji's trying to cheat and get out of there rather than become a first baseman, stretch, and take the throw. You have no chance at getting a double play. Gill's trying to get out of the way rather than just take the throw. The error, as it should be, goes to Benji Gill. Just flat out clanked it.
Now Minnesota given a chance with 2 on. They left 2 on in the opening inning. Only 1 out, and it's strike 1 to Corey Koski. Look at Washburn throwing nothing but strikes. 0 but 5 of his 36 pitches in the strike zone. Amazingly, Washburn during the course of the regular season, 206 innings, only induced 8 double plays. In 14 innings here in the postseason, 6. All 6 came in 2 starts against the Yankees, and could have had one there a moment ago.
That's an unbelievable number to know how many starts he had, how many innings he throws, and only got 8 double plays all year long. Fly ball pitcher.
Breaking ball blocked nicely by Benji Molina. 1 and 2 on Corey Koski. Corey Hunter hoping for a chance here in the Minnesota 3rd inning. The inning started with an infield hit by Rivas. An out later. An error by Gill allowed Guzman to reach. Second time Koski has gone down swinging. 4 strikeouts in the game for Washburn.
Tommy, Washburn has absolutely worked Corey Koski. There's the first breaking ball away for a strike. Comes back on a fastball on the outside corner. Misses with a breaking ball. Didn't care if he threw it a strike. And then just threw a fastball right by Corey Koski down in the zone. Koski's sitting down saying, boy, I need to reevaluate because I've gone up there twice and have been nowhere close to this guy. Help me, Mr. Wizard.
Matt LaCroix singled into left center field. His first time up. Fastball up by Washburn. Jarrod, an 18-game winner during the regular season. A fabulous ERA, especially for an American League pitcher, at 3.15.
What are you saying about those American League pitchers?
Well, obviously, because of the designated hitter, you're going to have a little bit higher earned run average across the board, by and large, as a starter in the American League.
That's because National League pitchers are so painful to watch when they step up to the dish with a bat in their hands.
Opponents only hit .235 this year against Washburn.
Koski's still shaking his head. It'll get better.
1-1. Grounded foul. 1 and 2. So now Washburn trying to pitch around some shabby defense here in the 3rd inning and keep this 1-0 lead intact.
Matt LaCroix is another guy a lot like Sean Wooten who will give you a tough at bat up there.
Two and 2.
They say he is one of the most fun guys on this ball club. Jim Rome called him a dirt farmer the other day on his radio program. LaCroix, they say he doesn't wear a belt half the time. He's sloppy all the time. This guy shows up with a smile on his face and loves to play the game, I'll tell you. Having a great time in his rookie season.
3 and 0-2. Now the runners get started with 2 out in the inning. And very good speed out there for Minnesota. Jock Jones, a runner at second. Around the bend, down the trail at first, Christian Guzman.
Troy in this situation is known as a guy that's a real free swinger and will really air it out in this situation.
Lifts it in the air. Garrett Anderson's way. And the threat over. A hit, an error, 2 men left. Middle of the third. 1-0 Angels. Eric Milton back out on the mound, trailing 1-0 as Anaheim bats in the bottom of the third inning. Top of the order coming up. Eckstein, Erstad, and Salmon. And there's a strike to David Eckstein. Eckstein, a 19th round draft choice by Boston back in 1997. Had 3.5 solid years in the Boston minor league system. But then they had a roster move to make. He wasn't the guy they made it with. Was claimed off waivers by Anaheim. And he has been marvelous for the Angels ever since. Popped up down the right field line and foul ground. And over to get it. Dustin Moore, 1 away.
Tommy, I think there's a little emotion in this game. LaCroix a little upset that he missed that pitch after he battled. And Jarrod Washburn saying, oh yeah, I got my stuff today. And he does.
Getting ready to say he ain't lying. Now Erstad, 40 of 10 in the series. 11 for 29 in the postseason. Breaking ball up and in. Erstad struck out his first time up.
Hey, where's Kit? You know, Germans love David Hasselhoff.
I would imagine. He had a pretty good gig there for a while.
He had a couple good gigs.
Yeah, but he had one real good gig. Show up every day. Baywatch. Not too shabby.
I'm afraid to say something.
Thank you. 1-1. Swing and a miss. 1-2 on Darren Erstad.
Erstad constantly working on his stroke. He and Mickey Hatcher before game 2 talked a lot about him being able to stay back. He felt like he was bringing his hands and his upper half of his body with him when he took his stride.
Popped up and out of the reach of the third baseman Koski. That'll be a base hit for Darren Erstad.
In his first at bat, he was fooled by a breaking ball and he got out in front too far this way. Let's check out this swing, whether or not he's got the balance. Let the ball get in. Look at the balance this time. Stays back on the ball. Doesn't hit it hard right off the end of the bat, but he let the ball get back into the strike zone. And in his first at bat, same pitch. Look at the balance that we talked about. Look at way out here. There's your where he finished in his first at bat, where he struck out. Was able to stay back a little bit better, keep his hands back, and he got a little number for a base hit.
Now Salmon, who had at least a double, if not more, taken away by Torrey Hunter on a ball to right center field his first time up. Erstad, 23 stolen bases during the regular season, was only thrown out 3 times. Popped up, foul ground, and that one in amongst the fans.
Yeah, that one's in the stands because as soon as Tim Salmon hit it, he started blowing on it, trying to push it into the seats. Torrey Hunter doing some tracking. Yeah, that's some pretty defensive work. Tim Salmon didn't think too much of it, though.
No. Erstad, good lead over there, held on by Minkiewicz at first base. On the inside corner, a strike. 1-2 to Tim Salmon. Anaheim leading 1-0. We're in the bottom of the third. 1 on, 1 out.
Once again, Torrey Hunter playing in the right center field gap a little bit. If Salmon hits a ball into the left center field gap in this area, if it drops, Hunter can fly, as we told you before. Erstad will walk home.
Smoked into left field and caught by Jock Jones, leaving his feet. That's his second out of the inning. And Salmon wondering what in the world he did wrong last night.
There's the pitch, just barely off the end of the bat for Salmon, looking for some top spin if he can get it on there. Jock Jones making the play, maybe a little bit of style points by leaving his feet there. Not really sure if he needed to dive for that ball, but making sure the grab landing on his hands to make sure he doesn't lose the ball. Watch Salmon as he loads up his swing. That's some great balance right there. We talk about that a lot. If you can draw a line right through his head, back through his back leg and through to the ground. Begging for that ball to drop, and it wouldn't do it.
A couple of loud outs for Salmon. Erstad still at first, and now Jarrod Anderson. Breaking ball that hung up there, and Anderson too far out in front. He accounted for the lone run of the game, leading off the second inning.
Anderson just pulverized that high fastball, but I'll tell you, Tommy, I think that pitch right there, the last pitch that Jarrod Anderson just fouled off, was a worse pitch than the one he hit into the seats. That was a big hanging breaking ball that said, hit me all over it. Look at Jarrod saying, man, I needed to wait just a smidgen longer.
Blocked nicely by Pierzynski, keeping Erstad at first base. 1-1. Jarrod Anderson put together some solid years here in Anaheim when he first came up, but over the last 2-3 years, he has become one of the game's best players. Went to his first All-Star game this season. One and one to Jarrod Anderson. This one down the left field line, hit pretty well. Jones back to the wall to end the inning. Couple of nice plays here in the third by Jock Jones to end the inning. The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Cold down easy, and by Energizer. Do you have the bunny inside?
You know, Tommy, in the first round of the playoffs, the Angels whooped the Yankees, but I can guarantee if this was Yankee Stadium, they never would have let Jock Jones go over there and catch the ball as easily as he did. Look at the guys. We're so nice here in Southern California. Everyone got out of the way. Oh, go ahead. Come on out here and catch this one. All the fans just sort of moved out of the way. Didn't give Jones a hassle at all about making that play.
Torrey Hunter to lead things off here in the fourth inning. 1-0 Angels, and Jarrod Washburn deals a strike.
We used to do the pregame show for the World Series out in front of those left field seats, and I can guarantee you from experience that those people weren't that nice.
Torrey Hunter pops it up. Spezio in foul ground. Run away, Torrey Hunter. Get a chance to catch up with him and talk about dreams coming true.
When you have dreams, sometimes they don't come true, so you really don't think about it. But when you think about it and they're starting to come true, you see them, and I see it. I see that the dream is coming true. Me and Doug McCabe, we sat on the bench one time. We were talking about, man, wouldn't it be sweet if both of us get called up to the big leagues at the same time? Like, yeah, that'll be nice. And next thing you know, we're here. Now we're in the ALCS together.
And good for you two. As Minkiewicz takes high ball one. That's the one thing about this Minnesota ball club. They drafted and signed, and they developed so many of these players who are becoming, if not yet household names. Hunter would be the closest thing to it. They all came up together, learned how to play together, learned how to win together, learned how to struggle together.
Good way to do it, too. If the organization could be patient enough to do it, if the franchise has the backing of the community, Twins fans have waited a long time since 1991. A lot of organizations have waited a lot longer than that, but not many organizations go from the top to the bottom as quickly as they did. Of course, they went from the bottom to the top real quick, too. Worst to first.
On the outside corner, we saw Mankiewicz, born in Toledo, Ohio, at a very young age. His family moved down to South Florida, where he attended Westminster Christian High School, the high school teammate of Alex Rodriguez, and dug a big fisherman.
17 sailfish. Goodness.
Fishing for a hit here instead of roller down to Eckstein.
I thought there was a limit on that. Like, you know, when you go trout fishing, you can only take 6 of them with you.
Well, you got to throw them back.
Oh, catch and release. Had a conversation with him about that play at the plate. Very upset with himself. He said, if I make a good throw there, we get the out at home plate. My fault that I pulled AJ off of home plate.
We thank those of you for voting using PCS Vision from Sprint or by logging on to foxsports.com. Many of you believe that Torrey Hunter is the best defensive center fielder in the big leagues, and there are a lot of them.
Now, these guys have so much fun, and you watch this play once again going into the gap off of Tim Salmon. Gathered himself so well, knew how many more steps he could take before he was going to hit the wall.
2-1 on Dustin Moore. Moore struck out his first time up. Washburn has been mighty good through the front 4. He's only allowed 2 hits, had to pitch out of a couple of jams because of a pair of errors behind it. One by Eckstein in the opening inning, the other by Gill in the 3rd. This guy stays healthy, he is going to win a pile of games for Anaheim in years to come. Told you he was an 18-game winner this year, already 46 wins under his belt against only 26 big league losses. Swung on and fouled out of play. And when you have numbers like that, you start riding into high cotton. Pitch lined into right center field. It'll fall in front of Erstad, a base hit. 3rd Minnesota hit against Washburn. Time for our RadioShack.com trivia question. How many players have had their number retired by more than one team? Good question. I can think of a couple of them right now.
Why are you looking at me?
You mean you're not one of them? Then I'm wrong.
Got a bunch of numbers, none of them retired.
Pierzynski flying out to center field his first time up. AJ waits and a throw over to first. We were talking about the career winning percentage of .639 for Jarrod Washburn. Look at some of the other guys on that list. Only 3 in front of him among all active left-handers, led by none other than the big unit, Randy Johnson, who will win undoubtedly his 5th Cy Young this year. Then Mark Mulder, Andy Pettit. Just below Jarrod, Tom Glavine. Not a bad rotation.
Aaron Seeley, as he watches from the dugout. This guy is a tremendous athlete, Washburn is. A lot of times everyday players have a tough time giving pitchers credit for being an athlete. They always call them non-athletes. This guy was a high school football star, a quarterback. He was a point guard on their basketball team.
Wicked pitch right there to Pierzynski. 0-1. Man.
Look at the rotation on the pitch, and boy, that is no fun when you're up there trying to hit and he's just buckling your knees.
To the Minnesota catcher. Another breaking ball. This one outside. 1-1.
Pierzynski definitely the leader of this ball club, both vocally and emotionally. We got into his growing supposed reputation as a dirty player, and it just seems unfounded. Talked to Denny Hawking, and he told me, hey, he'll do some crazy things, but then you know what? He'll stand right in there.
Now they have the runner caught. Throw down to second. And Mike Social will come racing out to argue with second base umpire Dana Demuth. Moore took off on the first move by Washburn and somehow got into second base safely.
That's the smartest thing you can do if you're a runner and you get picked off of first base, especially if you're going first move. Just go as hard as you can towards second, run inside the baseline, and then as the throw comes, try to slide to the outside part of the bag. What you do is you force the shortstop to have to catch the ball way on his right side and then tag you way back down to your left. That's what Moore did, and he was able to beat it.
It's another example as well as why teams prefer to have a left-handed throwing first baseman.
Absolutely. He has a much easier throw. He doesn't have to turn his body and throw. There goes Moore. Watch him run. He'll start to go inside and then slide away. Makes it a tougher play for Eckstein. And you can get hit in the back with the ball, which is the optimal situation for you.
2-1 the count on Pierzynski, who has 5 runs batted in during this postseason. And while it feels like, it seems like Anaheim is in command of this game, it is only 1-0. Pierzynski a hit away from tying it up. Two-one pitch. Fly ball right center field. Should end the 4th. It will. Twins have stranded 5 after 3.5. Still 1-0 Anaheim. Back in Anaheim, where the Angels in Game 3 of this American League Championship Series have a 1-0 lead. Troy Glaus, Scott Spiezio, Sean Wooten coming up against Eric Milton. Milton has only surrendered 3 base hits. A home run by Garrett Anderson leading off the 2nd inning, the only run of the game. In that same inning, Anaheim had 2 on with only 1 out, but failed to get home another run. Troy Glaus down strike.
Troy Glaus has seen some pitches in this series that I think he believes he should have hit. Game 1, when Eddie Gordaro came in and shut him down for the final out. He fouled back 2 pitches. He was all over. That pitch right there is a pitch that's a good pitch for him to hit.
Into right field, a base hit by Glaus, his 3rd in this league championship series.
Glaus has done a good job of taking one big opportunity to try to hit a ball out of the ballpark, and then his hits have come by doing this, letting the ball get into the strike zone and just punching it to the right side of the field, going the other way very nicely.
Glaus, another guy who runs well. You do have to keep an eye on him over there. 10 stolen bases during the regular season in 13 attempts. Now Spiezio, who walked his first time up. 0-1. The reputation for both teams coming into this postseason was that both were National League style teams, meaning very aggressive on the bases, would try to steal bases. More frequently than that, they would try the hit and run. We've seen very little of it through the first nearly 2.5 games of the series.
And this is a time where the Angels can afford to be aggressive.
Strike 2 on the outside corner.
And by that I mean they have a lead in the ball game. Put the pressure on. Mike Scioscia is all about putting pressure on the defense.
Not a bad combination to think about doing it with. Spezio 10 of 27 in his career against Eric Milton, but he's behind in the count now, 0-2. Now 1-2.
Mike Scioscia rarely shows any emotion on the bench. Very even-keeled guy for this team. Very even-handed with everyone that plays on the team. Kind of always gives you that look like you just told him a stupid joke.
1-2 to Spezio. In the dirt, blocked nicely there by Pierzynski. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So now Spezio will take a peek down at third base coach Ron Renicky.
2 guys in the stadium say nice play on a ball like that to A.J. Pierzynski. It's the backup catcher for the Twins, and you. Most people just don't give catchers enough credit for blocking balls with guys on base. They have no idea how difficult it is. There's Tommy Prince.
Yep, can play such a huge factor in the ball game. 2-2. Runner not going. 3-2.
He's going now. Spezio handles the bat. Glaus once again won't be trying to steal this base. He'll just be trying to get in motion.
Down the right field line. Caught by Dustin Moore, and racing back to the bag is Glaus. 1 away in the inning. Moore got a good jump on that ball and able to run it down near the line.
He got a great jump on this ball. Ron Gardenhire told us that he was his best defensive right fielder. Troy Glaus does a good job of not getting caught up in a ball hit down the line. This is the same situation and the same hitter, Spezio, that dropped one down the line in the Metrodome. Michael Kadire came in, and you have that little bit of hesitance when you know the ball can bounce over your head if you don't catch it.
Good breaking ball to Sean Wooten in there, a strike. Wooten had a 12-pitch at bat his first time up before lining a single into right field. That was part of the 31-pitch second inning for Eric Milton. Again, another block by Pierzynski, keeping Glaus at first. 1-1.
That is picture perfect right there. Drop to your knees, get your glove between your legs so there's no hole that the ball can sneak through. Roll your shoulders forward. Take it off your chest protector and be happy that you blocked it. And that's one of the reasons why Pierzynski gets the reputation, because he's always talking to people. I'll tell you what, the guy's a gamer. I take him on my team any day of the week.
1-1. Popped up. Guzman drifting out. Behind the bag at second. 2 away in the inning. Gives us a chance to answer our RadioShack.com trivia question. How many players have had their number retired by more than one team? 7 different players. Rod Carew, one of them. And these 2 teams both retired the number 29.
Rod Carew is here to throw out the first pitch before tonight's ball game.
3,053 career hits. Got his 3,000th hit off the Twins in 1985. Won 7 batting titles.
Ooh, the irony.
Found out a play by Benji Molina. Let's take a look at some of the other names. Carew, Nolan Ryan by 3 teams. The great Frank Robinson came up with Cincinnati, was traded to Baltimore. That was a real good deal for the Reds. Hank Aaron with the Braves and the Brewers. Raleigh Fingers and Carlton Fisk, your former teammate.
Yeah, and he deserved to have his number retired.
But Jackie Robinson retired by every major league team. And rightfully so. 1-1 to Benji Molina. Good ball game. We figured a pitcher's duel, and that's what it's been thus far. 1 run, 4 hits for Anaheim. No runs, 3 hits for Minnesota. 1-2 on Molina. Garrett Anderson, a home run to right center field in the 2nd inning, his first hit in this series, and that's the only run of the night. Yes, we're in Southern California, Steve.
Beach isn't far away, and I guess Torrey Hunter doesn't like beach balls.
I mean, he grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He said, "The heck with all this business."
Hey, he was trying to pop it the whole time, then finally got those fingernails into it. He should have bitten it with those braces he's got on his teeth. And you know his teammates bury him about that. It's like a 7th grade locker room when he comes in there. You know they're calling him tinsel teeth and brace face and metal mouth. You went through all that stuff, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
He's doing it just a little bit later, trying to take care of those good looks he's got.
Glaus started the inning with a single to right field. He still stands over there with 2 men out. And the 1-2 on Molina will end the inning. We were talking about Rod Carew. Guess who threw out the first pitch here tonight? Still looking good. And a good one here tonight. End of 4. 1-0 back after a break from your local station. Jarrod Washburn able to retire A.J. Pierzynski to end the top half of the 4th inning. And we eavesdrop on a conversation between Washburn and his pitching coach Bud Black in between innings. We'll have that for you here in a moment. Top half of the 5th we go. 1-0 Anaheim in front. And Luis Rivas looks at ball 1. Here is that conversation.
That away. That one probably almost worked better than it went in instead of away. Yeah, middle in. That last pitch. He was trying to go away.
Jarrod Washburn said he got away with a mistake there. He was trying to go away from AJ with a 4-seam fastball, and it actually tailed in on him. He missed his location, but he said he got away with it anyway. Watch this ball tail back into Pierzynski, and he was trying to go away.
Generally, that's deadly for a pitcher. When that catcher is moving from the outside corner over the heart of the plate.
Buddy Black has such a great demeanor with these guys. He went on to say, that was a 4-seamer? Well, hey, you can do it all then.
2-2 on Rivas, who had an infield hit his first time up. Minnesota believes Rivas is going to be an outstanding player for many, many years to come. Originally a shortstop, moved over to second base after they made the deal for Guzman. On the ground next time, throwing time. One away.
Next time just does things fundamentally correct. Watch the little crow hop. He's got a crow hop to get something on that throw. He's like a 3rd grader throwing the ball all the way across a big league infield.
And I know you don't mean that as a slam, because that's what it really does look like. He looks like a little guy giving it all he can to get it over to first base, but he gets the job done.
And it is exactly what he is. And boy, they talked about him thought he'd have to be a second baseman. They played him at short. They said the kid can get it done over there.
Jock Jones, 2-hopper down to Spezio. Jock Jones still hitless in the series.
Eckstein's brother is an assistant baseball coach at the University of Georgia. He had a great quote on his brother. He said, "David is a great role model. Every kid in America can look down at him and look up to him at the same time." A nice thing to say about your brother, too.
Sure is.
You're right. You know, they do an impersonation of Eckstein by setting the hat on second base and say, "Look, there he is, right on second."
Wow. Tough business.
Both of these teams have a lot of fun with each other.
Swinging a foul ball back. 0-1 to Christian Guzman, who twice has reached on errors, one by Eckstein in the opening inning. And then on a ground ball down to Troy Glaus, sharply hit. Glaus through to second base, and Benji Gil dropped the ball. Gil given the error. But both times Washburn has pitched around defensive miscues. Minnesota's left 5 men on base. Strike 2.
Troy Glaus does an excellent job down at third base to bait guys into bunting. Kind of holds back at third base there, and then as the pitcher goes into the windup, he takes about 5 or 6 quick steps in. Tries to make you think that you might be able to lay a bunt down, and then by the time you think about it, he's down your throat.
Fastball, and Guzman tardy fouls it away to stay alive. Still 1-2. Both these pitchers have had great success against the opposition they're facing tonight. This season, Washburn in 3 outings, a 2-0 record. Both of those wins, he beat Eric Milton.
I get the feeling Eric Milton's a little sick of seeing Jarrod Washburn. Matching him up pretty good here tonight. Guys are putting on a clinic.
One-two on the way to Guzman. Fastball missed just off the outside corner. Crowd wanted the call. So did Washburn. Brian Gorman says no.
Nasty pitch on the outside part of the plate. That is a ball, but Washburn misses the way you're supposed to miss. If you're going to miss with that pitch, make sure you miss off the outside, not out over.
Like that pitch was.
This number right here, very economical on the balls. With a lot of strikes. Boy, he's got a great idea.
And then came with a change and got it swinging, and Jarrod fired up. Halfway through this one in Anaheim. 1-0 home team. The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By the Intel Pentium 4 processor. Can a better computer really change your life? Yes, Intel. And by Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
Well, the redesign of Edison International Field has been a tremendous success. Looking from the other side of the rocks. The only thing about the rocks there is I keep waiting for that train from Thunder Mountain to come shooting out of those rocks and down through the outfield and right into home. Hello.
It's almost like going to Disneyland.
Almost.
Taken high to Benji Gil as we open the 5th inning from Eric Milton. Both pitchers on top of their game here tonight. Gil struck out his first time up. 1 run, 4 hits for Anaheim. No runs, 3 hits for Minnesota. Off the end of the bat, foul. 1-1 to Gill. A pitcher's duel here in the playoffs has been rare indeed compared to a year ago. Look at the batting averages. 42 points higher from last year. 7 shutouts thrown in the playoffs last year. None this year. In the air, right center field. And Hunter's got it. 1 away. It's time to take a look at our multi-award-winning rendition of the Pepsi fan cam and the band. Anaheim's very own, No Doubt.
Gwen Stefani. She can get it done. There's my Halloween house right there. Good crowd tonight.
See, when you lived in Oregon, you didn't know all this stuff about music. You know, you move here to L.A., baby, and all of a sudden, I mean, you know everything that's going on.
Hollywood.
Yeah. It's your nickname around here.
Good place, boy, I'll tell you that.
In there, strike 1-1. David Eckstein is flying out to left and fouled out to right. Pops this one up. And playable. Menkiewicz calling off Pierzynski. There's a mouthful. 2 away in the inning.
Alphabet soup between those two guys. Every catcher will tell you he loves to have his first baseman or third baseman come in and call it off. Let's look at Eric Milton's delivery after the knee injury. On the left, his no-hitter. This delivery tonight, you'll see on the left, the leg kick is much higher over there than it is in that picture right there. Danny Gladden told me that if Milton's going to be bothered by that injury at all, it is during that follow-through when that leg kicks up. It was an injury on the inside of the left knee, and every once in a while it will catch and click. There is Danny Gladden, the announcer of the Twins, player on the Twins on the championship ball club.
Milton suffered that injury prior to his scheduled start in Baltimore on August 6th, and he did it while warming up in the bullpen prior to the game. Darren Erstad down a strike. On the outside corner, 0-2.
Milton gets a little conscious of that knee problem, will drag that follow through just a little bit. Used to have a much bigger kick on his follow through.
Down the left field line. That is a foul ball, not by much. Right on top of the play down there, the left field line umpire and the crew chief, Eddie Montague.
Check out the replay. It's going to land almost on Eddie Montague's feet.
Ooh.
I don't know, did that one piece of grass have any white on it? Now, I'll tell you what, it's too tough for us to call, but Ed Montague's standing about 1.5 feet from it. I'm going with his view.
Again, the 0-2 coming to Darren Erstad. Give you one more look.
You see where the grass flies up at the very right up. This little piece of grass right there, is it white? That's your crew chief. He's one of the best umpires in the game, and he was all over the play.
Popped up. Guzman into short left center field. He's got it. And the first perfect inning for Milton since the opening frame. We play 5. Part of the order coming up. 1-0 Anaheim. The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Budweiser, delivering beer at its best with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers.
And take a look at this play one more time. Eddie Montague right there. That piece of grass that flies up kind of looks wide. I'll tell you what, that must be the toughest call for an umpire down the line. If that ball is hit anywhere else, he wouldn't have had to get out of the way of it, but it's hit right at him. He's got to move and make the call at the same time.
Good thing John McEnroe's not around.
Answer the question.
Minnesota batting against Jarrod Washburn here in the top half of the 6th inning. 1-0 Anaheim in the heart of the order for Ron Gardner's team. Corey Koski, Matt LaCroix, and Torrey Hunter. Koski has struck out twice. Good cut there, a ball and a strike.
Boy, that's the frustrating part about Koski's first 3 at-bats. He got worked his first 2, and then he gets the one pitch right there that he might be able to handle, and he fouls it straight back. Talk about how efficient Washburn has been so far. He's faced 21 hitters in this game so far. He's thrown 16 first pitch strikes. There's a catcher that can appreciate that.
Strike 3 called, this time on the inside corner, and Koski just turns and walks away. Take a look at our Chevy Trucks in-game box score for Minnesota. Quiet at the top. A couple of hits at the bottom, but only one from the heart of the order. The man who bats now, Matt LaCroix. Six strikeouts for Jarrod Washburn. Ball 1 high. Told you Washburn threw game 1 of the division series against the Yankees. Came back on 3 days rest to win game 4. Well, he's had 6 days rest since his last start. And Cavage to a 4th in the inning. Swung on and fouled out of play, and it's 1-2 on Matt LaCroix. He has 1 of the 3 Minnesota hits in the game.
They say Matt LaCroix is one of the biggest entertainers on this team, the best dancer the club has. I don't look at LaCroix and say, let's waltz.
He'll waltz back to the dugout. 3rd straight strikeout for Jarrod Washburn. 7 in the game. Fox NFL Sunday returns this week. JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy get you ready for kickoff. You'll hear from Brett Favre and his new band of receivers. Plus, JB talks with Redskins head coach Steve Spurrier. Fox NFL Sunday returns Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, followed by exciting NFL action. Join us on Sunday. 2 down for Hunter. Ball 1 away. Corey into the opening inning with a fly ball to left field, and then fouled out to Spezio leading off the 4th. 2-0. Rare indeed for Washburn to fall behind a hitter tonight. 2-0. Washburn and Milton going toe-to-toe here in Anaheim tonight. Hunter, a big foul ball off his foot. 2 balls and a strike. Take a look at the numbers. Milton and Washburn.
The number of pitches very equally balanced here. Eric Milton doing a great job for the Twins. Washburn battling here for the Angels as well.
Line into left field, a base hit by Torrey Hunter. A 2-out single by the Minnesota center fielder. Keeps the inning alive for Cavage.
Still pretty good late movement on this pitch, running it in on the hands of Hunter, but Hunter sticking right on top of that ball. Look at the cutting action, just goes right in. Balls we've seen outside of the ball. They got caught, and Salmon hit into the opposite field gap. And the bomb that Jarrod Anderson hit. These pitchers are in the opposing team's kitchen for the most part. Guys aren't getting some great swings.
Mientkiewicz has struck out and grounded to short.
I think Hunter's got to take a chance here and get in motion. Try to steal a base. Try to get in scoring position for Mientkiewicz. If you don't, there's 2 outs here. You throw them out. You got Mientkiewicz leading off the next inning.
23 stolen bases during the regular year for Hunter. Was thrown out 8 times. 0-1. You're seeing more and more teams use that play where Spezio stands in front of the runner.
And the slide step by Washburn. Tough to steal on that right there. No big leg kick at all.
One and one. Is that hard for a base runner, though, because even though it's being used a little bit more as time has gone by the last couple of years, not many teams do it. I mean, you would figure a base runner would be able to get a good lead over there because the guy's standing right in front of him.
Right, it's not so much the lead here, though, but he also knows that Spezio can get back to the bag with a pickoff attempt, and also the combination of that and Washburn's slide step make it almost impossible to steal the base.
Big swing and a miss, 1-2.
Talked about how Mientkiewicz uses his first couple at bats to gauge what he's going to get later in the game. We saw a high fastball right here, and this is how Washburn lives, by making sure that the lefties can't get up on top of that.
Now the crowd looking for Washburn to finish off Mientkiewicz. Sharply hit, but Molina will watch as the second baseman Gill picks it up and throws out Mientkiewicz. 1 hit, 1 left. Middle of the 6th. 1-0 Anaheim. Anaheim comes to bat home half of the 6th inning with a 1-0 lead over Minnesota in Game 3 of this American League Championship Series. Eric Milton going to work on Tim Salmon. Starts him off. Strike 1. Salmon lined out to right center on a spectacular catch made by Hunter in the first. And then lined out on a diving play made by Jock Jones in left field in the third. And he wondered if Salmon would be well enough to go here tonight after leaving Game 2 with the injured hamstring. Wasn't so sure yesterday. Got here today, ready to roll. Center field, playable for Jones. 1 away. October's magical matchups continue tomorrow. A doubleheader of league championship action at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. Chuck Finley looks to get the Cardinals back into it. Russ Ortiz has been terrific for the Giants. Then 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Game 4 here, Brad Radke against John Lackey. Lackey getting the call as a starter for the first time in the postseason.
Boy, he did a great job for this Angel Ball Club. And Brad Radke, brilliant against the Oakland A's.
Down the right field line. Did he get it up off the wall? And brilliantly played by Moore. That ball came ricocheting off the wall and looked like it would get right by him, and somehow, some way, he was able to knock it down.
Tommy, Torrey Hunter was doing a nice job of trying to get over and back up that play, but that's an easy triple if this ball backs up past Moore. He gets it with his glove hand. Another nice swing by Jarrod Anderson. He's starting to find his groove in this series, but watch Moore. The ball bounced back. right off the base of this fence, and whoa, just barely gets his glove on it. That saved an extra base. Jarrod Anderson would be on third base with just one out.
And that's in slow motion. You're looking at it. Full speed. It is hard to believe he got a glove on that ball. Great play by Moore. Anderson had a team record 56 doubles during the regular season. He's at second base for Glaus, 1 of 2 in the game. Strike one from Milton. The only 3 runs Glaus has knocked in during the postseason. The division series against the Yankees and the first 2.5 games of the league championship series against Minnesota have come on 3 solo home runs. One and one to Troy Glaus.
All Glaus has to do is stick with his game plan of going the other way. He's got a few base hits doing that in this series, and a base hit this time drives in a run, especially if he's talking out in that area.
Glaus, a first-round pick in '97 out of nearby UCLA, has hit more home runs over the last 3 years than any big league third baseman. 1-1. They come inside off the corner, 2 balls and a strike.
We're talking about a guy in just his 4th season who's had 3 straight 30 home run seasons. Led the league last year with 47. Three straight 100 RBI seasons as well. That's some production out of a young kid, firing him right into the lineup.
Just missing. 3-1 now to Glaus. Big time hitters count. Big time hitter at the plate. By Milton. 2 on, 1 out, and Spezio coming up. Spezio during the season, we mentioned earlier, hit .368 against left-handers with runners in scoring position, .336.
And having said all that, Tommy, I don't mind the pitch that Milton threw to Glaus right there. Try to jam him up and in, try to get him to pop up. He got an out. You got a guy in Spezio now that can bounce into a double play ball and maybe get you out of that inning. I throw a nasty, tough pitch to Glaus, and if I don't get him, I start over with Spezio.
Fouled straight back. Milton really pitching out there. Early in the game, a lot of first pitch fastballs as the game has gone on, and the Anaheim hitters may be looking for that. Last couple of hitters, off-speed pitches on the first pitch. 4 shy of 100 in the game for Milton. Saw LaTroy Hawkins getting ready in the bullpen. They want to see if he's ready.
As Rick Anderson, the pitching coach, on the telephone, and you can be guaranteed he isn't ordering any pizza.
In the air for Dustin Moore. He's got it, and the runners stay put to end the inning. Milton just continues to battle out there on the mound. One more big out to go for Milton here in the 6th.
I mean, that ball by Spezio carried well into right center field there. A lot of people might be sitting around saying, well, why aren't we running on that, or why aren't we tagging up? Well, Jarrod Anderson has decent speed. The Cardinals sin in baseball of making the 3rd out at third base. This is one of the more sustained rallies that they've been trying to put together. Why make the 3rd out at third base when you're going to score on a base hit anyway, with one of the toughest outs in your lineup coming to the plate?
That would be Sean Wooten. A 12-pitch at bat before lining a single in the right field in the 2nd. Popped up to the shortstop in the 4th. Big, big batter for Milton and Minnesota. Already down a run.
seen two battles in particular in this ball game. Koski against Washburn and Milton against Wooten.
Fly ball left center field. The short-handed Hunter coming on to get it. Outstanding work by Eric Milton. End of 6, so 1-0 game back after a break from your local Fox station. October's magical matchups continue this week on Fox NFL Sunday, beginning with America's #1 pregame show. Then Terry Glenn returns to New England. Packers battle the Patriots and the Panthers and the Cowboys. Some of you see the Falcons and the Giants or other regional action. All part of a full weekend of magical matchups. The NFL and baseball playoff action right here on Fox, the only place to be in October.
Another high fastball, another first pitch strike.
Dustin Moore, 1 of 2. Breaking ball down low. Moore struck out swinging in the second inning, single to right center field, and was credited with a stolen base. Took off for second when the throw went to first, and he beat the throw. Fastball up and in, 2-1. Moore to be followed by Pierzynski and Rivas. 1 run, 5 hits for the Angels. No runs, 4 hits for Minnesota. The Twins during the regular year, when they won 94 games, they were fabulous in 1-run decisions. Some will tell you that's a big deal over the course of a regular year. Others will say it's overrated. The bottom line is Ron Gardenhire's team in 1-run games, 29-16. Foul back out of play. The Angels, they played a pile of 1-run games, and they went 31-22. And generally that means you have a good bullpen, and both these teams have excellent bullpen, as we've seen in the series already. Three-2. High chopper, and it gets thrown to left field. Dustin Moore getting to start in right field tonight and making the most of it. A couple of nice plays on defense and a couple of base hits.
Dustin Moore battling up there, just fighting this low fastball, little cutter in on his hands. Gets enough to bounce it into left field.
I thought originally that was a play for Troy Glaus.
He didn't get a good jump going to his left on that play. I don't know if he lost it out of the box or not. He took one big hop by him. Here's Glaus's reaction to that ball. He takes a couple quick steps and then says, I don't think I can get there. But that ball was bouncing high and over his head, so I don't think he could have gotten it.
Vote now using PCS Vision from Sprint or log on to foxsports.com. Which of these teams has a better bullpen?
Flip a coin.
Pierzynski, first pitch swinging, pops it up. It's a rather pouring bat right there by Pierzynski. You're in the 7th inning. You're down a run.
Another high fastball in on the letters. Can't get to it. He knows it.
Starting to say, Steve, and you see his frustration. That's a pitch you're not going to do much with.
And that's what Washburn knows about getting up and in on left-handed hitters. Left-handed hitters, generally low ball hitters. Real tough for them to get up on top of that pitch.
Flying away to Rivas, 1 of 2, and an infield hit in the 3rd inning, grounded out to Eckstein at short in the 5th. But Troy Hawkins will come on to pitch more than likely in the 7th inning. No activity in the Anaheim bullpen. The 100th pitch of the game upcoming by Jarrod Washburn. And yet another strike. 1-1. shock to many, both of these teams are playing in the American League Championship Series. Anaheim disposing the New York Yankees, a 4-time reigning defending American League champions. And of course Minnesota in a thrilling 5-game series, outlasting the Oakland Athletics. But both proved during the regular season they are worthy teams to meet in the League Championship Series, and they're playing like it during.
Watch Molina set up. Watch Washburn hit the glove. That's tremendous. After the 100-pitch mark. That's a catcher right there.
One and two to Rivas. Driven into right center field. Salmon over to get it. 2 gone in the inning. A big at bat coming up for Jock Jones. Jones in search of his first hit in the series. He is lined out to right, bounced into a fielder's choice to the shortstop Eckstein in the 3rd, and bounced out to Spezio in the 5th. His team only down a run, but beginning to run out of outs.
This is a guy that, remember, as a leadoff hitter, hit 27 home runs this year. The lead out of that leadoff spot, drove in more runs than his 85 on the season, and that was a guy that's generally being considered for the MVP this year, a guy that was very close to a 40-40 season, Alfonso Soriano.
0-1. A little bit low, ball and a strike. Jarrod Washburn averaged right around 105 pitches per start over his 32 outings this year. And he's there right now. One to Jock Jones. No throw over to first.
That was a good time to throw over to first base. Washburn was taking a lot of time in between the pitches. It was the situation whereas if you're looking to steal a base or try to steal a run somehow, you wait for a lapse in concentration on the pitcher. You wait for him to start thinking about everything else but you.
Driven well into left field, racing back Garrett Anderson at the wall, and it's off the wall. Played beautiful by Anderson. Eckstein's throw to the plate is cut off. And Jock Jones, his first hit of the series, ties a game here in the 7th inning.
Could almost feel it coming for Jock Jones. He had a couple good at-bats earlier in this game. He doesn't think that he got enough of that ball off the bat. But he's got enough of it to get it off the wall. I don't know if he was standing there thinking that he didn't get enough of it and it was going to be caught, or he thought he got so much of it that it was going to be out of the ballpark. Garrett Anderson does a good job of playing it off the wall, and then Benji Molina trying to block the plate, but he didn't get the throw yet, and it was cut off.
Jock Jones, his first hit in his last 18 postseason at bats, and what a time to get it. Ball one high to Christian Guzman. So we begin anew, 1-1 in the 7th inning, and for the first time, Bud Black double checking with that Anaheim bullpen. Brendan Donnelly starting to throw. Popped up, right side of the infield. Gillis there, inning over, but not before the Twins break through. A 2-out run scoring double by Jock Jones, a 1-1 game. The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Old Navy's Painter's Pants, the Handyman's Classic, and by Nissan and your Nissan dealer. Welcome back to Edison International Field in Anaheim, where now 1-1 ball game, Steve. We figured on good pitching, Both starters had excellent years. They had good history against the opposition. And that's where we stand going to the bottom of the 7th inning, a 1-1 game.
And this game gets nothing but better when you go to the bullpens. Neither bullpen's given up a run all series long. And well, we saw a great pitching performance from both starters. There's a good chance we're going to see both bullpens.
Garrett Anderson started the scoring in this one, leading off the 2nd inning against Eric Milton with a home run to the seats in right center field. Jarrod Washburn dealing through the front 6 2/3 innings, striking out 7. But then Jock Jones doubled over Garrett Anderson's head, scoring Dustin Moore from first, who had began the inning with a single. 1-1 our score. We take a look at our Nissan game summary. Both starters terrific. And you get a look, both teams hitless with runners in scoring position.
Oh, Dustin Moore did a great job. Watch this with 2 outs. You know he's flying. He makes a great turn at second. No wasted motion there. He's going to do the same thing at third base. Hits the bag. And then watch this ugly slide. He didn't know which way to go. It looked like his body took a bad hop. Anderson gets the ball in quickly. This may be one of the few times where the throwing arm of Eckstein might hurt you a little bit. Not the strongest throwing arm in the league by any means. Dustin Moore coming around home, sliding head first into home plate is not a good idea, but his body was bouncing all over the place.
Our first call to the bullpen tonight brings on the one-time closer for the Twins, now a setup man, LaTroy Hawkins.
You're going to see much the same out of LaTroy Hawkins that we saw out of Eric Milton, except for the fact that he throws with his right hand, and he's got a little more giddy up on that fastball. He will throw strikes up in the strike zone, challenge you to climb the ladder and go get him.
A lot of the Twins fans jumping online tonight. 51% to 49 saying Minnesota with a better bullpen. Well, both have been terrific so far in this series. One thing we know for sure, some teams' bullpen is going to allow a run in this series.
Sooner or later.
Amen. Benji Molina to begin things against Hawkins here in the 7th. Eric Milton, 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, 1 run, walked 2, struck out 3. Johan Santana getting loose. Likewise for the 20-year-old Venezuelan. Francisco Rodriguez 2-0 on Molina. Molina 0 for 8 in the series. Yes, they're calling on the rally monkey here in Anaheim. 1-1 game in the 7th in their strike.
Rally monkey's been the victory cry for this ball club since a couple of seasons ago. Really came into play this year, and it helped out for 43 come from behind wins for the Angels.
3-1 to Molina. We talked about these bullpens and how good they have been so far in this series. You look at Minnesota, 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs.
I'm benching Molina. I'm taking this pitch.
He does for ball 4.
That's a good at-bat for Benji. Hasn't been swinging the bat all that well. You get into a hitter's count at 3-1, but you're seeing a new pitcher. Go ahead and take one, see if you can get a guy to walk you.
Sean Figgins will come on to run for Molina. And there you get a look. First appearance of the series by the Rally Monkey. Out on the big scoreboard in right center field. Man, that thing's a piece of work.
I had this theory that the Rally Monkey was actually David Eckstein. I'd never seen him in the same place at the same time. Eckstein walking ball of energy.
Right now, do you ask Gill to put down the bunt?
Depends on whether or not they want Sean Figgins to steal the base. Steal a base and then bunt him over, maybe.
Bunted perfectly. And Cavage will put the tag on Gill, give him the sacrifice. Advancing Figgins into scoring position.
Gill does the nice job getting the ball down on the right side. A lot of times when you have a team that has a guy on it like Sean Figgins that can fly, why not let him steal second base and then bunt him over to third? Mike Scioscia deciding right now to get it done early and let the rally monkey come up there and bang out a base hit to score him.
Third sacrifice of the year delivered by Gill. And now it's Eckstein. Twins tie the game in the top of the 7th inning. Anaheim trying to recapture the lead in the bottom half. Strike one to David Eckstein. Eckstein 0 for 3, 3 of 12 in the series. Get a look at his numbers with runners on base. Down the right field line and out of play. 0-2 to Eckstein.
I mean, a lot of Angels fans will point to earlier in the season when this season turned around for the Angels was when David Eckstein went back-to-back nights with grand slams. One of them a game winner. Next thing you know, the Angels were one of the hottest teams in baseball, and they never looked back.
Eckstein actually led the league in grand slams. He hit 3. Figgins a go-ahead run at second base. And the 0-2. Fouled out of play again by Eckstein. We'll do it again.
Eckstein and another guy are the only 2 players that are 5'8" or shorter in the last 20 years to hit 3 grand slams in the single season. That other guy, Kirby Puckett.
Yeah. Saw Kirby the other night. Great to see him. Again, the 0-2 to Eckstein. Go ahead run in scoring position. Line off the glove of Rivas into shallow center. And Figgins advances on to third. Great effort by Rivas, but just scored it loose.
Eckstein battling, going the other way. That's what he does best. He is the pest. Gets the ball out there. I think Rivas just misjudged where this ball goes. Watch, it's going to hit him a little bit more off the fingers. They usually say if you can get your glove on it, you should catch it, but that's a great effort by Rivas to keep the ball in the infield. This ball gets by him. Sean Figgins walks home. If Rivas catches that ball, Sean Figgins gets doubled off of second base.
Mike Scioscia's reaction to the pitching change. Anaheim runners on the corners. We'll be right back. They're rocking in Anaheim. 1-1 game, bottom of the 7th inning.
Tommy, the Angels dodged a bullet twice here. Once because Rivas didn't catch the ball. That would have been 1 out. But look at where Figgins is. If Rivas catches that ball, I believe it's an easy double play at second base. Figgins was way out in Nowheresville.
Johan Santana takes over on the mound. Had an outstanding regular season. And he faces Darren Erstad with a go-ahead run at third. Good breaking ball down and away from Erstad for strike 1. Santana averaged better than 11 strikeouts per 9 innings this season. And that's exactly what he has in mind right here and right now.
Boy, that slider looked like it broke about 5 feet.
sending Eckstein back to the bag.
People thinking about a possible squeeze play. I think that first pitch by Santana will give you a good reason why I don't think they will. You got to have a guy that's around the plate enough so that you can get a bunt down so you don't run straight into an out. This guy has some nasty stuff that moves all over the place. It'd be very difficult for Erstad to get a bunt down.
Ball gets away from Pierzynski, and Figgins stays put at third. Meanwhile, Eckstein advances on to second on the wild pitch.
This ball bounces away from Pierzynski, but boy, it was a great job. It is so tough to catch a guy that throws a 55-foot slider. Everything once again fundamentally perfect. You see the way he bends over at the waist to keep the ball in front of him. It's amazing the ball bounced out far away from AJ. Figgins, no chance.
Now the infield draws in. Figgins at third, Eckstein at second, one out. Erstad, one of the best in the major leagues this season, with a runner at third and less than 2 men out. It's amazing how low the league average is statistically in this category. 53%. Erstad, 77.5.
Got his work cut out for him right here. Pierzynski wanted to make sure that Santana knew what signs they were going with a guy on second base, Eckstein, who may be stealing them and relaying them into Erstad.
Breaking ball, and Erstad does not chase it. 2 balls and a strike. Activity down in the Minnesota bullpen. The left-hander J.C. Romero. The right-hander Mike Jackson. Troy Hawkins walked the first batter of the inning. They moved him over with a sacrifice. Eckstein an infield hit. And now it's Santana. Runners at second and third. 1 out in a 1-1 game. Ground ball to second. Runner coming to the plate. Throw to the plate. Out at the plate. What a play by Rivas, who fielded the ball cleanly through a strike to Pierzynski, and the home plate umpire Brian Gorman called Figgins out. Figgins didn't like the call, neither did Mike Scioscia.
Pierzynski does a great job of blocking the plate. We saw this play from Minkiewicz the other night. Now he gets another chance. Rivas with the throw to home. Watch Pierzynski take the plate away from Figgins. Figgins trying to go around him and get in there with his hand. He may have gotten the plate, but Pierzynski's all over him with the tag. Textbook catching.
Mike Jackson will come on from the bullpen. Good call at the plate by Brian Gorman. We'll be back.
Well, Tommy, I think we're going to give everybody a chance to make their own call on that play on Sean Figgins. Here's the first look at it. He tries to get around Pierzynski, takes away the plate. Did he touch him? Umpire says yes. Here's exactly the same view that you would have if you were the umpire. What call would you make? Umpire in perfect position to make the call. And then finally, a third view. Watch his armpit. Look at the uniform move. He tagged him right up under the armpit, got a piece of the uniform, and he is out.
All right, go ahead, run at third. Tim Salmon facing Mike Jackson, who's on from the Minnesota bullpen, and it's strike 1 to Salmon.
Boy, so some tremendous looks there. Some looks that we would show you that the umpire can't possibly see. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 replays for even us to know whether he's safe or out.
Eckstein at third. Blowing away to Salmon. 0 for 3 in the game. Is lined out to right center field. Lined out to left and popped up to left.
Watch Figgins' uniform move right underneath his armpit as Pierzynski just hooks it with the end of his glove. of a great effort by Sean Figgins to get in there, too.
Great work by our great crew. Working hard to bring you all the pictures and all the sounds of this thrilling Game 3. Breaking ball in the dirt, blocked nicely again by Brzezinski. Boy, how many big plays has he made? How many big plays tonight has Benji Molina made on the other side?
Nice job, Brzezinski, the heart and soul, the leader of this team.
See the numbers for Salmon against Mike Jackson. Inside, 3-1. Well, if you're Salmon, wouldn't you figure you're going to get something ahead here, Steve, knowing a left-handed batter is waiting on deck? And Jarrod Anderson, now granted they have the left-hander Romero ready in the bullpen.
If you're Salmon, you're looking dead red here, and you're coming out of your shoes if you get anything close.
Disagreed.
He doesn't like it, but he doesn't really care. This isn't the pitch that he wanted to swing at. He thinks it's ball 4. That ball hooks the back half of that plate. That's a nasty pitch. But that's not a pitch he wanted to swing at anyway.
Now the runner at first, Erstad, will go on the 3-2. The go-ahead run is Eckstein at third. Ball 4 near low.
That's going to be it for Jackson. Gardenhire told us that he would use Jackson for one hitter to get an out and get out of an inning. He didn't get that out.
Fourth pitcher of the inning coming on to try and get the all-important third out. Game 3 of this American League Championship Series in front of a sellout crowd at Edison International Field in Anaheim. A 1-1 game. Jarrod Anderson will come to the plate with the bases loaded. He accounted for Anaheim's lone run with a home run in the second. Jock Jones hitless in the series until the top of this 7th inning. A 2-out run scoring double to tie things up. And now Anaheim has loaded the bases. Fourth pitcher in the inning used by Ron Gardenhire is J.C. Romero.
Look at the numbers for Romero during the season. That is a big one right there. 1.89. This guy's ball moves all over the yard. Good fastball, nasty slider. You got to think Anderson's going to see some of those sliders on the outer half of the plate.
Anderson hitless in the series until tonight. He's homered, fly to left and double. Eckstein, the go-ahead run at third. Erstad at second. Salmon on at first. 2 away in the inning. Ball 1 low to Jarrod Anderson.
Unless Anderson hits an absolute one-hop bullet to one of the outfielders, you're not going to throw out Darren Erstad at home. Base hit, scores 2.
On the outside edge, 1-1 to Jarrod Anderson. Saw that graphic a moment ago. Anderson 3 of 9 in his career against Romero. They've only faced one another one at bat during this league championship series, and Anderson grounded out. Two and 1.
Again, Brzezinski.
Down the right field line, drifting is Moore at the wall, inning over. The Angels leave them loaded. We go to the 8th, tied at 1. Jarrod Anderson only a couple of feet away from giving his team a 5-1 lead. Instead, it's 1-1 as Francisco Rodriguez, a hard-throwing 20-year-old, takes over for Jarrod Washburn on the mound, and it's strike one to Troy Glaus. 3, 4, and 5 in the Minnesota 8th in this 1-1 affair. Jose Molina, Benji's brother, takes over behind the plate. Rodriguez so far has been one of the great stories during the postseason. Pitched in only 5 games during the regular year, but impressed Mike Scioscia enough to put him on this postseason roster. He got 2 wins in the Yankee series.
I'll tell you what, Tommy, if you have not had a chance to see this guy pitch yet, you're in for a treat. This guy is the most exciting thing in the playoffs this season. Look at the bite on that slider. You can forget about hitting it. The kid's 20 years old. Signed when he was 16. He's got 13 brothers and sisters.
And has another strikeout.
Wow. This is some big-time heat on the outside part of the plate. You just can't pull the trigger. Koski has been getting abused tonight.
It's a 4th strikeout of the game of Troy Glaus. And that ties the league championship series record.
20 years old, Tom. I don't know what you were doing when you were 20 years old.
I can't remember.
I think I was just graduating from my Pampers pull-ups into my Superman underoos. I wasn't pitching in the big leagues in the playoffs.
You haven't come much further since then.
You're right about that.
David Ortiz to bat for LaCroix, the designated hitter, and it's ball 1 away to David Ortiz. Ortiz a DH the first 2 games of the league championship series. Has 2 base hits and 7 at bats.
Talking to Rex Hudler before the ball game, and Rex didn't even have a chance to see him pitch that often during the regular season. But he said, you know what, don't wake this kid up. He has no idea where he is right now. If you let him know, things might change. He's having so much fun. Not old enough to realize the magnitude of the situation.
Rolled over foul by Ortiz, 1-2. When he came up, he tied an Angels club record by striking out 8 consecutive batters over 4 games. Nolan Ryan, the only Angel to ever do that.
Pretty good company.
Not bad. Big deep breath going to work. 2-2 on Ortiz. Ortiz hit 20 home runs during the regular season. And that was in just 125 games.
Watch the young man go to work. First pitch, Ortiz, fastball away, goes inside with the fastball. Nice breaking ball. He's got 2 strikes on him now, trying to get him to swing at something out of the zone, and then just painting the outside part of the plate. That ball only looks big in slow motion. It's looking like a BB when you're standing up there trying to hit it.
And look at that slider, and Hunter chased it. Well, there's already an A-Rod in the American League West. Now there's a K-Rod. They're calling him here in Anaheim. Off the end of the bat into left field, playable for Jarrod Anderson, and a 1-2-3-8 for Francisco Rodriguez. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Glaus, Spezio, and Wooten coming up in a 1-1 affair. The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And by Pepsi Blue, the new fusion of berry and cola, it's the mix. And the Angels and Twins mixing it up in this American League Championship Series. Pivotal game 3, series even, 1 game apiece. We're tied at 1-1. J.C. Romero following Milton, Hawkins, Santana, and Jackson. Romero came on to get Garrett Anderson with the bases loaded, ending the 7th inning. Ball 1.
The most dangerous hitter in this lineup that Romero's going to face is standing at the plate right now. Good fastball hitter, great mistake hitter, Troy Glaus.
Big swing by Glaus, and he fouls it off 1-1.
Boy, he has had a lot of those in this series already, Tommy. We're only into the 3rd ball game. Good pitch to hit, head right down on it. Pretty good swing. Just didn't get it.
Boy, Percival throwing in the Anaheim bullpen. You figure Percival, should Anaheim take the lead. Rodriguez, if we go to the 9th tie. 2-1.
I just really like the body language of Troy Glaus at the plate. I said it when he struck out to end game 1 on a called 3rd nasty slider.
3-1.
And I just like the way he's standing up there. I like the way he takes pitches when he doesn't swing at them. I like the passes through the hitting zone when he does.
No activity in the Minnesota bullpen. They had to use 4 pitchers to get 3 outs in the 7th. In the air, right center field, well hit. Back to the wall is Moore.
In trouble, it's because he bails out his front left shoulder, driving the ball the other way, keeping that left front shoulder all over the pitch.
11th home run in this postseason for Anaheim. Glaus is 4th.
Just drove right down through it. Just seemed like it was a matter of time for him.
Out to visit with Romero's fallen behind 2-1 to Spezio.
Let's watch the way Romero worked to Glaus. First pitch fastball down, then the fastball that he was right on. Another breaking ball down, he spit on it, and then this one. That feels good even all the way up here. innings in the world better than that one.
Mickey Hatcher feeling it. Two and two to Spezio. Anaheim leads 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th. Spezio gone on strike.
Sometimes all you have to do is watch the crowd and they'll tell you what happened. And this is a good one here in Anaheim.
And Percival cranking it up now for a save chance when Minnesota bats in the ninth. You weren't with us in game 2. Percival has never allowed an earned run in his career against Minnesota. Not one. Allowed a couple of unearned runs in blowing a couple of save opportunities through the year. Strike 3 called to Wooten. 2 away in the inning. What is the most memorable moment in Major League Baseball history? In Anaheim, they're saying right here, right now. Watch Game 4 of the World Series on Fox to find out. The most memorable moments are presented by MasterCard. Don't miss it. And Glaus did miss that 3-1 pitch.
And I think he's going to remember it.
Rounded hard by Molina down to first. That'll end the inning. So the home run by Glaus makes it 2-1. Anaheim trying to go up 2-1 in the series. Troy Percival will take over in a save situation after Troy Glaus homer to right center field to make it a 2-1 ball game.
Percival in the postseason. That's a number that should jump out at you. The 7 strikeouts, 3 saves. Scouting report, he's got the blazing fastball. He'll throw a curveball up there if he likes it. If he has the feel for it, he'll throw it again. If he doesn't, you're going to see all gas. Mostly tries to stay away, and occasionally he'll throw a changeup up there. That's what he struck out Bobby Kilty with in game 2.
And Cavich to lead things off in the Minnesota 9th inning. Line into right center field. Caught by the new right fielder, Alex Ochoa.
Mike Socha pushing all the right buttons. He gets Ochoa in there for defense. He's a great defensive outfielder. Salmon with the bad leg. Get him out of there because you want some defense in here late in the game. And Ochoa answers the bell.
Now Dustin Moore looks at ball 1. Moore's had a good night. 2 hits and 3 at-bats his first start of the series. Stolen a base and scored a run. That ball in the air down the right field line. Ochoa for the second out.
You know that old saying of being a defensive replacement, as soon as you get in the game, you know they're going to hit the first ball at you. Ochoa's got the first 2.
Coordinating producer of Major League Baseball on Fox is Michael Weissman. The producer of tonight's game, Jeff Gowen. Our director, Jim Lynch. Our replay producer, Carol Langley McDermott. The associate director, Larry Lancaster. Our broadcast associates, Kevin Kresser and David Duvall. Our technical producer is Craig Marlowe. The senior producer of Fox Sports, Bill Brown. The executive producers at Fox Sports, Ed Gorin and David Hill. Tarasenski with 2 away. Strike 1. AJ 6 home runs during the regular season. 1 in the postseason, and it came in the 9th inning in Oakland Game 5. Minnesota still just 1 swing of the bat away from tying this game. And now Percival 1 strike away from ending this game. First league championship series game in Anaheim since '86. And they're primed to celebrate a Game 3 win.
Leland wanted Percy to run that ball up in the strike zone. Didn't get it there.
Tarasenski, 2-1 Anaheim. 2 away in the 9th. Little flare in the short left field. Anderson coming, dives. He got it, and they celebrated Anaheim.
What flavor's your snow cone? No question. It was the 3rd out of the ballgame.
You get the feeling, Steve, we're just getting warmed up in this American League Championship Series. Already 2 games decided by 1 run.
I'll hang around for 7. Won't you?
Amen, brother. For more information on tonight's game and the latest information on Major League Baseball, go to foxsports.com. Stay tuned for the late local news, except for those of you on the West Coast. For those viewers in Los Angeles interested in continued post-game coverage, turn to your regional Fox Sports Net affiliate. They split the first 2 games in Minnesota, and a thriller in Game 3 tonight in Anaheim.
Washburn brilliant, and a bullpen that still has not surrendered a run in 3 games.
Anderson a home run to start the scoring. Jock Jones got his first hit in the 7th to tie the game. A frustrating night for the Minnesota hitters against Washburn, Rodriguez, and Percival. This game had a little bit of everything, but in the end, a Troy Glaus home run in the 8th inning sends Anaheim to a 2-1 lead in this American League Championship Series. Can't wait till tomorrow.
It's the parting of the Red Sea.
And the high fastball to Garrett Anderson in the postseason. He's been absolutely outstanding. A couple of home runs now. He's hitting 300. Very poor pitch selection here. 3-1 fastball to Troy Glaus. Are you kidding me? Didn't you scout the Yankees series? Take all that good scouting and check the bullpen out, will you guys? 3-1 fastball to Glaus. Forget about it.
The manager's a little upset.
Well, I just don't think that was good game plan. 3-1 lefty to righty right there. Not a good game plan at all. I'm not letting my lefty do that.
Jeannie's Alaska with Kevin Kitty. Let's talk about the game plan coming into this one, because this game loomed large for the Twins when they saw the Angels' name on the board, knowing they'd have to go against a lefty in Game 3.
I think they felt that Washburn would be very, very good. That's why they went with Milton. They're saving their ace for tomorrow, Radke. And here is Washburn. Great breaking ball today. He just punched out the lefties. Look at that thing. Off the outside corner. That is paint. Great slider right there. Again, the lefties. Corey Koski punched out 3-4 times tonight. in that 3 spot. There's no excuse for that. It's not going to get the job done offensively when your third hitter punches out 4 times. Again, Washburn, this time, you've got it going again with the gas and then the breaking ball again. He was absolutely outstanding. 7 solid innings. Got the job done, and he has pitched great in the postseason. Let's take a look at tomorrow's pitchers. Therefore, Radke, the ace, going tomorrow. It looks like a better matchup, obviously, against John Lackey, but don't take him for granted. He's got a pretty good sinker, pretty good slider. That's tomorrow's matchup tomorrow night. Yep. National League, Jeannie, in a must-win situation. This Chuck Finley right here. He pitched pretty good so far in the postseason. He has to come up bigger tomorrow because Ortiz has been absolutely outstanding as well in the postseason.
All right, follow me here, kids. October's magical matchups continue tomorrow with NLCS Game 3 as the Cardinals head to San Francisco to take on the Giants. The road to the World Series continues 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on Fox. But wait, there's more magical matchups. ALCS Game 4, the Twins battling the Angels in Anaheim. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on Fox. We ask, who are the real teams of destiny? Is it Pumpkin or is it Pump? For Kevin Kennedy, I'm Jeannie Zelasco. Join us tomorrow as the magical moments continue to unfold on Fox.